Mark Williams will take on Danny Wiseman. This week's Choice Hotels Tip of the Week features Don Johnson with some adjustment advice. Here at the Eric Civic Center. Splitfire, spark plug open. First match, 268-237. Edwards moved on against Danny Wiseman. And in that match, there were 21 total strikes. 278 to 277. Slap shot with a young admirer of the Erie Panthers hockey team that plays right here in this arena. Bo, you got 6 through 24.
Well, everybody's having a lot of fun here, Chris, and here's some of the players that had a lot of fun all week. Dave Traver lost his last game by 1 pin to finish 6th. Roger Bowker showing that conditioning does make a difference. Brian LeClaire had 279, 279, 279 at 1 point this week. Billy Oakes, the tough Texan, in 9th. Joe Furpo, a fine winner. Monicelli saw him running his 5 miles this morning. Ed Richardson, top player. Ernie Schlegel, the veteran. Ross Kawana, the local favorite. He's the relative of a late, great Frank Caruana, who is a Hall of Famer. Powerful Gary Schluchter. Mike Taylor featured a new haircut. The Fireball, Phil Ringener. Mazza will be home next week during the U.S. Open. Detroit, he calls home. Doby's in there. Mike Miller, both with his thumb and without his thumb this week, and qualified 24th, Chris Schenkel.
Okay, our next stop, it's next week for the last major, the United States Open. It'll originate at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan. We expect about 7,000 fans. Head on to a beautiful city of Toronto, the IOF Foresters Open. So here we are in Erie for the 3rd match. Mark Williams, first Texan of the day, moves in against Danny Wiseman. Leaving a 2-pin, seemingly some trouble near the line.
Danny Wiseman's showing some displeasure with the approach. He actually came to an abrupt halt. You know, we checked him earlier when we checked his style in the first game. He has that long slide. Well, that long slide came to an abrupt halt. He released the ball a little bit late and did not get the lift, and the snap back to the head pin leaves the 2.
Now, our first look today at 37-year-old Mark Williams. 6 titles in his 15 years. 32nd telecast. The best this year for Mark. 5th in Baltimore, 2nd in the Choice Hotels Classic.
Well, a different style than we've seen all day long. You see him the extreme left side of the approach. Good, solid push away, a very versatile player. Look at that left side, pulling back, straightening up the right shoulder. Watch how the left arm comes back, the right shoulder comes forward, and that's the way to do it. You have to keep the right hip parallel to the target line. You can open the right shoulder for power.
Look at that. High hit and gets them all. In match play, he was 15-9. 24 match play games. Now the final 4 games moved from Eastway Lanes here in Erie to the Civic Center. As we mentioned, Danny finished 3rd last week and appears to be nearing his peak here in 1995 on our 11th stop in a tour of 14 cities. Four victories. And now he leads Mark Williams by 20 pins. Or excuse me, it's all even now. Because Mark had opened with a double and now will be shooting in the 3rd frame. Quite a bit to the left of center on the approach. 3 in a row. Here's Bo.
Thank you, Chris Schenkel. Mike Edwards, what a terrific performance. 260, 270, and yet you're defeated after the 2nd game.
Well, you know, this is one time I really don't mind losing. I mean, the fans here are great, and it's just an honor to be bowling here today.
You look a little bit drained.
I am absolutely drained right now. It's unreal. It's great. You know, I want to say hi to my wife, Meg. I love you. And I almost got there.
All right, Mike. Sweet. Back to you, Chris.
Okay. Early now in our third game, Splitfire Spark Plug Open will return after this. Musicians, Central High School Band, Chuck Lute, their director. We appreciate what they're doing, adding to the ambiance of Erie Civic Center. Adding to the beauty of bowling is Danny Wiseman. His spare is a double up, shooting the fourth, trailing by 20. Now by only 10.
Chris, despite trailing by 10 pins, Danny Wiseman, I believe, has the correct shot to the pocket with the most margin of error out there on the championship pair. The center of the lane's a little bit slicker, and a little oiler than the outside, and right now, Mark Williams is going around that oil. It's tough to be consistent that way. Williams going right next to it.
And we are even. Semi-final game, leading the final as the tournament leader is waiting to bowl, Steve Jaros of Bolingbrook, Illinois. Hmm. 4-8.
Just as I suspected, Chris, Mark playing down the center of the lane is in that high oil concentration. He lets the ball slide too far. It doesn't finish enough and leaves the 4-8 a tough spare.
So now Mark is trailing by 2 pins. Wonderful and efficient managing director of Erie Civic Center, Casey Wells. Thanks, Casey. The 8.
Second 8-pin we've seen today. Look at this pretty shot. Starts the ball left to center, out to about that 5th board we were talking about. In perfect position. 1, 3, 5, straight off the 8.
Danny now with 4 in a row, shooting in the 6th frame, semifinal game.
Little psychological ploy by Danny Wiseman. When he was trailing in a match, he took his time getting up there. When he's leading, he gets up right away. Tries to put quick pressure on his opponent.
Okay, coming up next on ABC's Wide World of Sports, our national champions take the ice in special performances at the Chrysler Skating Spectacular, plus the men's and women's moguls competition at the World Freestyle Skiing Championships. All coming up next here on ABC Sports Wide World. Wow. 11 in his last game. Now he's put together 6. We'll return with more of it following this. Dennis Horan is one of 5 to have known the thrill, 5 with the winner today, of being a champion here in Erie, PA. Now he, along with you, can watch Mark Williams. 7th frame. That was a must strike. Trailing by 23 here at the center. Tailgating started long before the doors opened here at the Civic Center. And I imagine it'll continue into the early evening. And the crowd tells you how they feel about leaving the 7 pin. And they see a dejected Mark Williams and they start applauding to cheer him up. But that's why a large group of people joining together, like at a football stadium or a baseball park, can help the players. So it's 167 through the 7th for Mark Williams, spare up. And for Danny Wiseman, 6 in a row, open with a spare, now shooting the 8th. Here's Bo.
Chris Schenkel with me, our tournament leader, Steve Jarrow. Steve, you've won 2 tournaments, the Choice Hotel Classic, both low-scoring, very tough environments. Now it's a high-scoring environment. Do you like this kind of action?
I really do. I bowled really well all week. The fans here are fantastic. This is an unbelievable setting. I'm looking forward to having a lot of fun.
How about Danny Wiseman? He's right on.
He sure is. He's bowling great. It's not going to take 2-0 to win.
All right, pal. Here's our tournament leader. He'll be in the next match, Chris. Back to you.
He's just focused. That's what it's called. Had some problems in the past, as we mentioned, when things didn't go right and they were sad. But just look at that. Look at the concentration. And Mark Williams finally gets another strike in the 9th frame. He opened with 4. Couple of spares, a strike, spare, strike. Next Saturday, the Professional Bowlers Tour rolls into Detroit. Jewel Arena is the setting of the second jewel in bowling's Triple Crown. Cheston Rump will defend his title next week at the U.S. Open. It's 3 Eastern, 2 Central here on ABC Sports.
Right now, Williams a possible 247. Still in the hunt. What striking out for Williams will do to Danny Wiseman would force Danny to get 6 pins on the first ball. That's if Mark takes it off the sheet. And Chris, this is just no room for spares out here. Mark Williams, 4 good strikes, left a 4-8 just to pinch off in the 5th frame, a solid 8 in the 6th, strike in the 7th, a solid 7 in the 8th, first one we've seen all day. And right now he's in the point of getting shut out here. He is right now.
This is a man that won the Firestone Tournament of Champions twice.
To be in the 230s, but we said 235's a weak sister out there today. It will not get the job done. Danny Wiseman has a chance for the highest game of the season on ABC television this year. Possible 290. Here we go.
Remember, he had a 278 in his victory over Mike Edwards with 11 strikes.
The all-time record for championship rounds set at Sayville, 1993, 250.1 average. So far, we're going to 265. The record is in jeopardy.
Locked, and will be a finalist, of course, against Jaros, and that'll be a match. Jaros has 2 PBA titles. Danny has 4.
Danny needs this strike to guarantee him the highest game we've had in the championship round in 1995. He didn't want to set the standard too high.
That's right.
He had
2/3 of a bucket anyway, right?
Attaboy. He had 278 last game. And this game he'll be at 277 with the spare. Steve Jarrow, our tournament leader, is going to have his hands full.
There they are, 2 professionals in the semifinal game. A 277 to Mark Williams, 235. So we continue to march ahead with the final coming up before this huge crowd.